Hello, how is everyone? Um, welcome to my IG Live again tonight, and hello, Toby, and we'll be talking about hi, Cora. So while we're just waiting for Cora to join us, we will be actually talking about how to refine your teaching. So let me let Cora in. Hi, everyone. Long time no see, Rachel. We need to talk again. Oh, hello,
Hi.
Cora.
Hi.
Hi, how are
Good
you?
evening. I'm okay.
Ah, yeah, how was your day?
I have a light day today. Wednesday is usually
Mm-hmm.
my light day, so I only teach one class. But it's also the day that I
Okay,
practice and cross train. So,
okay, that's good.
mhm.
Cross train, interesting. What else do you do in terms of training? I mean, apart from yoga, obviously.
I go to reformer class, Pilates,
Okay,
once a week.
okay, that's
Yeah,
good.
and
I
then
think,
I am also doing some functional movement. So on Wednesday I do
mhm.
splits.
Okay, like
Side
splits,
split. Yes,
like every
side
day, just
middle
like
splits.
just one day dedicated to splits. Oh, okay, that's good.
Well, no,
Now,
actually only middle splits.
okay.
That was the theme.
I,
Yeah.
to be honest, I still can't really tell the difference. Like I get the two mixed up, middle split or front split. I don't know like which one is which all the time. So in
Front
one,
split
I
is
usually just use my fingers.
Hanumanasana,
This is ah okay,
like front split,
or this.
and side split is Samokanasana.
Okay, well, know
Precisely.
your basically you have to know the names of the poses as a yoga teacher,
Yeah,
don't you think?
yeah,
So
exactly.
today, today we'll be talking about five tips to refine your yoga teaching. And I know that each of us has prepared our own tips. And would you want to share them first, or do you want me to share them first?
I think you go first.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So, many of you know that I've been teaching yoga for basically centuries. So, if I mean, there are so many ways to make your class better, and it really depends on what class you're teaching. And I think that, and I really wish that there was someone who could actually tell me when I started teaching. And I remember when I first started teaching, one of the best ways to learn to refine my teaching was actually to observe because the yoga studio that I was about to work in had provided me like extra training, but simply by shadowing a yoga teacher. So I mean that is actually not one of my five tips anyway, but from just being a teaching assistant, that's how I started. And you learn so much as a yoga teacher, and then you can always learn from more experienced teachers just by observing and being humble and watch and apply those skills to your teaching. So
That
that's
was
kind of
old school.
slightly that's old school,
Yeah.
but then old school
I know,
works,
right? I
right?
love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we used to
Yeah.
have to assist and observe and for a while
Mm-hmm.
before we even being able to really get out and teach, right? Those are the old days. I miss that. I think we should bring
Exactly,
those back.
exactly.
Shadowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. I mean, that's what I do with all of the mentorship workshop graduates anyway. I
Mm.
invite them to join any of my workshops or events to become a teaching assistant, and then suddenly one day they became one of the presenters at a conference. But anyway, so let me get back to my
Let's
five
hear
tips.
your five tips. Yes. Hmm.
Yeah. So one of my golden rules is to teach only what you know, because you can't pretend you know something, but actually when you don't. Like if you want to teach that class, dedicate that class to inversions, make sure you know the principles of how to get into inversions, the safety, everything in the skills. so that you can actually guide your students to you know, to perform those poses safely. Safety always comes first.
Do you want me to do you want me to let you go through all five before I make comments on what you're saying? If I have something I like to add on.
Oh yeah, you can add that. Yeah, but watch the time. Remember.
No, now or later.
No, you can do it now before you forget. Before I forget.
Yeah,
Okay. But
I
let's
think
let's be
okay.
smart with the
I'll be
time
very
tonight.
quick.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be very
Yep.
quick. So I think many new yoga teachers, including me, sometimes I still do that. Sometimes it's right now there's so much information online, right? We look at something and then it's like, oh, that's cool, and then we throw it in the class. If we don't try it
Yep.
first and truly understand, not a good idea. So
Mm-hmm.
only
Oh,
teach
I
what
totally
you
agree.
know and also embody. That's kind of what I'm thinking when you say teach only what you know, right? You gotta have to try it
Yeah.
out first, make sure you understand. It's not like you just pick up something somewhere. Oh, that looks really cool, that transition, and then just throw it in class. You have to try it out and make sure you
Yeah.
understand. Yeah.
Totally agree. But then I would also actually add that, you know, so, some of you have asked me, oh, but what if I can't do it or I can't do it anymore? Can I still teach it? The answer is yes, because if you have been able to do it in your past life or before, but now you can't do it due to maybe injuries or maybe you're pregnant or you're just getting older. But as long as you still understand the principle and the alignment, and actually why you're doing these poses in the first place, because you do these poses not because it's cool, you know, you understand why we're doing these asanas, you know, how that go with the theme of the class, then yes, I 100% agree that you can still teach it, even though at this very moment you're no longer able to do it. Okay, so that's my number one. So teach only what you know. Now, number two, try to stick with the sequence and then vary from there. And I know that there's a lot of principles about sequencing. You can, you know, do these heart opening sequence, hip opening sequence, and What I've done in the last 10 years is to come up with my own sequence called Empowered Flow, which is a very versatile, you know, sequence that consists of 10 parts. And this is what actually I do in teacher trainings now. This is what I teach. And so depending on the theme of the class, you can actually adjust from the original sequence. And so then you don't have to always come up with a new sequence when you go and teach a class. I know that there's a lot of, like, you know, innovation, creativity in sequencing now. But then, you know, if you change your sequences too much, your students might find it hard to follow, and you will find it hard to, you will confuse yourself when you teach. And so even if you don't have your own set sequence, that's absolutely fine. Use the one that you're familiar with, use the one that your teacher has taught you, and vary from there. And in fact, Empowered Flow, it's something that I'll be offering at Yoga Fest. I think it's on Saturday, next Saturday, very soon. Do you have anything to add, Cora?
I am, well, first of all, I'm looking forward to the Empowered Flow and Yoga Fest, and yeah, well, I agree with you. I think sticking to a sequence or your particular sequence is important, and my teacher actually suggested us to pick like 20 poses and teach those 20 really well, right? And some of them becomes your signature.
Exactly.
Right? You know, if you think, yeah, exactly. And people always remember, oh, you know, there's always this 20 poses plus something more in Victor's sequence, and then they become more familiar, right? And and that's what people remember about you. And because you're teaching the same thing, then people resonate. I totally agree. And yeah. And one of my mantra is actually have a plan so you can be spontaneous, right? You have to have a plan and be consistent with the plan. Yeah, I agree.
I agree. Okay, so now my third point is to always have a laugh when you teach. Just relaxed. I know it sounds very stupid, but then you should really relax when you teach as well. And one of the best ways to do that is to have a laugh. And don't be afraid to laugh at yourself. I do that all the time. You know, I make fun of myself all the time. When you can actually have a laugh in your class, then people, at the end of the day, they want to come to your class to find themselves, to relax, to enjoy themselves. And if you make that class too serious, then, you know, it's like going to a military school. I don't think people want that. One of my mantras, since you mentioned the word mantra, when it comes to yoga teaching, is that don't take yourself too seriously, but take yoga seriously. That's, you know, that will actually keep the edge off when you are, and the nerves when you go and teach. Okay. Anything to add?
Well, it's something that I need to do more. Let's just say that. And I need to learn from this tip. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I know what you're like, Conrad. You're very serious. So just, you know,
like
if you say something wrong.
My nickname is Resting Bitch Face, so I gotta have to change that one a little. Yeah, my mantra is smile more, and yeah, I'm more relaxed now, but I still have to remember.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah,
Smile more.
true.
Okay. All right. Now, number 4. My number 4 tip is to share a tiny bit of yoga philosophy or principle in your class. I know that people come to what we understand as yoga class nowadays in a gym, in a studio. To be exact, that's a yoga asana class, which is absolutely fine. Because through asana, you can get to the next few limbs of yoga. However, if you only talk about the alignment, and I know that alignment is important, but if you only talk about the alignment, it's more like a PE class or like a gymnastics class. So if you can share any bit of yoga philosophy, and you don't have to be well versed in Yoga Sutra in order to do that, but hopefully I think all yoga teachers should remember what the 8 limbs of yoga are. And so, like, yama niyama, asana, pranayama. Do you remember the next one? What's next? What's after pranayama? Do you remember that? Pratyahara, dhyana, dharana, and samadhi. Something like that. Yes. You didn't expect me to test you on that.
No, I actually do remember. I was just caught order. Yeah.
But it's important that we know some yoga philosophy as a yoga teacher, because they actually are the backbones of yoga. And so if you can share some of the philosophy and how you can apply the philosophy to your daily life, then you will stand out as a yoga teacher, because otherwise everyone is already teaching crow pose, everyone is already teaching headstand. Okay, and I'm sure many more people can do a better handstand than me myself, and I absolutely agree with that. Like Fizzy and Dice at the at Yoga Fest. But then what makes the class different, and what makes my class different is how we deliver the same technical skills, but then add our own spin to it, add our own little understanding of yoga to the class that we deliver. And I think that would really, really make you stand out as a yoga teacher. Okay, but first of all, you need to maybe go back to some of your philosophy books, just to get a refresher on yoga philosophy. And now I've got my 15 minutes nearly done. The 5th tip that I would like to share is be available. Okay, meaning get to the yoga class a bit early, and after class, don't just dash off. Stay behind for a little while, and you may be and always ask your students, if you have any questions, I'm here for a quick chat. You will be surprised. I mean, maybe 8 out of 10, no one will come. But those two who come to you will probably always stick around in your classes. Okay.
Yeah.
And the more you are able to answer questions, and even if you can't answer those questions, the more it will make you learn, and the more it will make you a better yoga teacher.
I very agree to this one. I think
Mm-hmm.
we want to show up a little bit early, be available, but
Mm-hmm.
even before class, it would be also
Mm-hmm.
advisable that we as teachers be ready for ourselves, right? So be available for
Yep.
ourselves to not rush in and out. And then after class is the
Exactly.
same, stay a little bit to
Mm-hmm.
connect with the students. One thing which is very useful is to remember some students' name,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you have a class list, pick one or two, remember the name. I know sometimes it's
Mm-hmm.
hard to remember
Yeah,
everyone, but that's
you
a
don't
good
have
tip,
to.
right? You pick up one or two, and then
Mm-hmm.
you connect with
Mm-hmm.
those one or two. Next class, pick another two, right? So that would be a good tip to
Exactly.
do. So that's a way to connect to your students. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I absolutely agree. All right, so my 5 tips, I'm just going to do a quick recap. Teach what you know only. Try to stick with the sequence and maybe vary from there. Have a laugh. Don't be too serious about yourself. Share a teeny bit of yoga philosophy in every class that you teach. Otherwise, it will become a PE class. And number 5 is be available. And I think on this like social media's age, also be available on social media.
Which we will
Okay.
talk about next time, right? In the next
Absolutely.
yoga talk. Yes, on the next
Absolutely.
yoga talk. Okay.
All right. So Cora, what are your 5 tips?
Well, you actually told me what you're going to talk about, so I thought I would change to a slightly different, more technical angle. Although I obviously agree to all the things that you have said. So my first one is in line with the stick to your sequence one, which is consistency. But I also realize that usually the more not confident we are, the more we want to throw in. Right. So usually you would see a lot of new teachers want to teach challenging poses and make it really hard and intense.
Yep.
My suggestion for you is teach the foundations really well. Even if for audition, pick the easiest foundation poses. Consistency over intensity. That's my number one. Right. Be consistent, foundation, instead of making stuff really hard. I think you would make your life a little bit easier, and also you would get more students because what you're teaching is solid. You make everyone feeling inclusive, and I think this is what actually most yoga studios would be looking for as well. So consistency over intensity. That's my number one.
Yes.
What are your thoughts?
Because I mean, this is really great point, because a lot of the more advanced poses are built up from the foundational poses. So if your foundation is not solid, then everything up there is just fluff. It will just crumble down. And I really love how you mentioned the less confident we are, the newer we are, we'll try to impress more with crazy poses. But the real knowledge, the real depth of the knowledge is actually the foundations. The simplest pose holds the most wisdom.
Yep. Exactly.
Okay, that's a great point.
Yeah. The second one is I think because when we are new yoga teachers, we usually would be given a book, how to teach Warrior 2, and you have like the big script. And I remember when I was doing my 200 hours, the feedback I was given is it was the good feedback that I was given is it was very precise and informative. But that was also the bad feedback because it sounds like a script, right?
Yeah.
And we tend to just talk about, say, everything. So advice is 3 cues, pick 3, just 3, right? And then that's it.
Okay.
And then instead of every single poses, say everything from the beginning to the end, from whatever you have to do on one side and the other side. Try to pick a few and stick on those, and then you will you're teaching very quickly.
Yes.
So if you're looking, if that day you're teaching more on lower chain, just focus more on the leg stuff and forget about like talking too much about the alignments on the top. So that's my second one is 3 cues. So limit to 3 cues. Yeah, that's it.
Absolutely. Agree? Yeah. A lot of times me included, just too much information, and it becomes even more confusing, especially if the students are not very body aware. If you give them just too much information, they won't. It's indigestion for them.
Correct. So maybe pick one theme, maybe pick like the legs and talk about, and then basically like the few points that I'm talking about is in order in the same line, and then another thing is start from ground up. Start from ground up, meaning that I see a lot of newer teachers. A lot of times they jump around body parts when they're talking, when they're in the instructions. So they talk about foot and then talk about the hand and then talk about the arms and then talk back about the leg. So when you are observing, which is the first thing you talked about, you look at the person and say what makes sense, right? I think in the beginning we are scared, sure, and then we just throw everything out. Be organized in your thoughts and always start from ground up. Right. And that's one thing I think it's quite important. Yes. As a teacher. Yeah. So refine your language, even write it down, but start from ground up. Yes.
Okay.
So start from ground up, 3 cues, right? So all these are about the teaching, and then the last one is not last one, actually 2 more, is provide landmarks. So what it means is this is actually a real refinement to make you slightly different. Inhale, twist. Right? Inhale, lengthen, exhale, twist. Inhale, lengthen from the base of your spine to the crown. Exhale, turn from the left side shoulder blades to the right. So you don't need to use all these in everyone, but if you pick 2 or 3 and start to refine the language, lengthen from where to where, twisting from what to what, it becomes a little bit more precise and clear. Again, this is just something that teachers can do a little bit more homework and to make you stand out. Is to refine the language in a way that it provides a little bit more direction instead of just a general shape. Yeah. So,
okay.
And I've been doing so I think it's very useful.
So can you give us one more example in refining
like stretch your
language?
Arms out.
Let's say
you can stretch your arms out. You can extend shoulders from the fingertips, right? So you can make it a little bit more precise. So because more visual, right? Because I think ultimately when you can use things like even metaphors and stuff like that, it really helps students to understand a little bit more instead. Okay, inhale, lengthen, exhale, twist. Inhale, lengthen, twist them more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think there are ways that we can make the teaching a little bit more sharp and better in our language.
Okay, so five tips, right?
The last one is really it's in line. Okay. Well, just now is provide landmarks, right? So think about directions instead of just the shape. The last one is really refine language, because I think we all have habits, right, on what we say. So it would be quite useful to video yourself and find out, for example, your filler words or some of the things that you may want to cut out. And even in our language, we can sometimes thinking about, instead of stretch, we can say lengthen, elongate, right? Instead of relax, we can say soften. Like, what are the words that you can make things a little bit more better? And then to refine our language in a way that what are the things that maybe we should cut out? This is my last question for you. I actually have a question for you. Is what are the things, which is fun, and I ask every single teacher. What are the things that you would think it should cut out from a yoga class? Or if you're here, you'll be like, oh, really don't want to hear that as a student.
Open your heart. Shine from the heart. Or like,
right. If it's in your practice.
That's just a very, so what I'm trying to say is something that is like fluffy language.
Yes.
Okay. Something that is very vague, I have nothing against hippie language, but then something that is very vague, something that is very, very generic, but something that also sounds a bit like Instagram, motivational posters that you can find on the Instagram. Cut all that crap out. I'm sorry. And to be honest, I might actually offend a lot of people by just saying this, but just by saying like smile your collarbones, shine your heart to the sky, raise your energy up from the feet. So actually, let's say
those are great.
If I'm new to yoga, I have no idea what the F you're talking about and how to actually do that. Saying those things, it doesn't really help people understand the poses or the reason why you're doing those poses. And I can even dare say that you say that because you have a lack of understanding of the human body or anatomy. And you say those words just to make it easier for yourself. And I whenever I hear that, and people, when I hear yoga teachers say that, I will tell them, if they're in my training, I will tell them not to say that again. If they say that in a class, and I'll be like, oh God, I just rolled my eyes, and it's really quite annoying, to be honest. Maybe some people like it because maybe I'm not connected enough. But what about you? What about yourself?
Well,
to answer your own question.
I'm looking. Yeah, I don't like fluffy language as well, and it's just me. Like I'm just maybe I'm not imaginative to begin with. So I personally don't like fluffy language, but some people work them very well. Some people can use them very, very well. I've seen some yin teachers that have all this visualization and they can use it very well. I just know that that's not me. That's it. And I think another thing that we can throw into the tips, which we're not talking about, is you can only teach what you resonate with, right? So, but what I personally have been kind of evaluating myself, and when I look into how to refine my own teaching is how welcoming or how inclusive are my language, right? So some of the things that I would catch myself not to say anymore is, for example, do this if it's in your practice, do this if you can, right? So if you have crow, do it. If not, then what, right? Use a block if you need. I try to think about, are there better way to say that, right? Things like that is something that I am more looking into. Or, skip chaturanga if you're tired, right? I mean, I appreciate students showing up even if they're tired. So you don't just skip chaturanga when you're tired, right? So start to thinking about what you're just saying it for why, and is it even correct, because everyone is saying that. And when you try to come from these angles, even if you're a new teacher and your technicality on teaching poses are not that great yet, if you refine your language from your heart, right? And not saying these things that doesn't make people feel good, then I think that would make a big difference.
So how would you say it if you're not going to say, okay, well, you can do crow pose if it's in your practice, but you are avoiding that? So how would you actually verbalize
I actually
that
would just say
message?
crow or malasana. Like, I just don't say if you can or if you can't. I say, okay, malasana or go up to crow. Like there's no like this or
just
that,
cut out
or
all
if
this
you
crap.
can or if you can't. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Okay, good point.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the use of blocks is just something that I use anyways, right? So it's just it's not something that if you need to, right? I don't know, like I don't have all the answers, but I'm just trying to catch myself or avoid and see is there any way that I can say these things a little bit better, right? Yeah.
What do you think of, let's say, okay, if you can't do, say, half moon, if you can't reach the floor or if you need extra balance, use the block. You're okay with that one, right?
I think so, yeah.
Because we'll be co-teaching mentorship workshops, so I think we have to have some sort of consensus.
Yeah.
So
again, these are. I mean, we have to use it. We have to say it, because it's a fact, right? If you need it, you use the block. But but
Okay.
but when something is sometimes overused, right? You know, we have to think about, is there a better way to say it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's just
Mm-hmm.
kind of how I think, right? Um, uh, it's how to refine our language in a way that
Mm-hmm.
people feel included and
Okay.
in all times. Yes, exactly.
Absolutely. So can you summarize for us, just to repeat those 5 points for our viewers, please?
Okay, sure. One is consistency over intensity,
Mm-hmm.
and then limit to 3 cues at a time,
Okay. Yeah.
starting from ground up.
Yeah.
Starting from ground up, provide landmarks and directions,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and refine language. Yes.
Okay. Beautiful. All right. So, don't we have some news to share about mentorship workshop?
Yes, we do. We do. We
Yeah.
do.
So finally,
Yes.
the website is up. Thank you, Trisha, for helping us organize all of that. And I think we can share that information now, right?
Yes, we do. So we are going to have so I am actually the first mentorship mentee, right? You call it mentee,
Yes.
with Victor back then in 2015, and after that, I have been helping him in the next couple of his mentorship program as well, and I'm very happy to have him come to Singapore, and I will be helping him out here this time on July 9th and 10th. Yes. And
And
go ahead.
go on, sorry. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm really, really excited to bring mentorship workshop. I think it has helped, first of all, myself to become a better yoga teacher, to become a better person, to be honest, to look out for other yoga teachers who have who are going through the things that I had gone through when I was a new yoga teacher, like 10, 12 years ago. So, I'm very, very excited to bring this workshop to share what I know with yoga teachers in Singapore, to maybe help them along the way, to maybe you're new to yoga teaching, maybe you've been teaching yoga for a little while, and you need some feedback on your teaching. You need to learn how to teach better. You want some, like really, really solid tips, just like what we did right now on your teaching. And maybe even you want to know more about the business of yoga or wellness. And hopefully, I know that yoga teaching isn't easy. So hopefully, it will help you make a little bit more money along the way, so you can take more trainings to better equip yourself to provide a better yoga class or wellness service for that matter. So, it's something that, I'm also learning along the way when I'm bringing this program to Singapore. So I really, really look forward to learning from you guys and to sharing with all of you, with Cora, together with Cora.
And not only that, right? Even if you have been teaching for a while, I think what we have been lacking as yoga teachers is a place where people get together to have conversations and dialogues. So even like Victor and I are we're leading this, but ultimately we're just like bringing people together where we will share experience, but it's for all you guys to come together and contribute and share your own experience so we can all get better at the same time. Yeah.
Yes.
So even if you've been teaching for a while, come and have a conversation, have a dialogue, so we can grow and learn together. Yeah.
Yeah. So information will be available, I think, tomorrow morning at the Yoga Fest website. And so, yeah, hopefully I'll see you there. But even if you can't make it to the workshop, come and say hi at the festival. I would love to actually see you all in person.
Okay, we will post some information on our IG too, yeah? Okay.
Yes, absolutely. One last thing, I got a tip from someone, when I asked that question, like how to, improve or refine your yoga teaching on my IG. I thought about whether I should share it, but then I was like, what the heck? It's like, do it naked. Because sometimes he knows that person knows that I post nude, your artistic yoga nudes. So
I think that's actually next week's topic. I think that's our Saturday
topic. What should I do?
That's
yoga
our Saturday
naked?
topic. No. This our Saturday
With a
topic
glass
is
of wine.
how to up your social
What is it?
media game. So our
Oh,
Saturday
okay.
topic is
Like
how to up
post
your social
something.
media game.
Okay, good. Post a naked picture then.
Oh, wait, do I have to
You're
do?
like,
Oh,
oh.
okay.
All right. All right. I'm glad that
All right. Good
we
night, everyone. I
yeah,
think that's
I'm
enough.
glad that we can manage to keep it short and sweet this time. And next Saturday we'll be talking about what was that topic again? How to up your social media game, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I'll
Be
see.
naked.
We'll all no. But yes, maybe in picture. All right. Good night. Thank you so much for your time,
All right.
Clara.
Good night, everyone. See you. See you
Bye
all.
bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.